Flower Nose all-in box. It's more likely than you think. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Lapin and this is a kind of unboxing review swatch discussion on Flower Nose new collection, and that is the Night Unicorn collection. Night as in which is an armor, not like the nighttime. However, there is a lot of nighttime celestial inspired stuff in this collection regardless. This is my third all-in a row. It's getting dangerous up in here, but I think I'm coming to terms with the fact that I just really like the all-in boxes. The all-in box here is similar to the Sweetie Bear one that you might see behind me. I know. Don't even mention it. It's definitely still very French style, except this time it's an opera house. We have a super cunty heart with a sword going through it. Very cool. Motif that doesn't show up as much in the rest of the collection, but still very nice. And yeah, I think I just couldn't resist getting this because, well, it looks so cute next to the Sweetie Bear one. Like, you know, spice jars that look like little houses? That is like my dream, but since I don't really have space in the kitchen, I bought a giant ass house instead. Let's not even talk about it. As per usual, I don't even know if I can say this is a Flower Nose all-in unboxing because just like the other ones, I actually split this up with a friend and a few buyers. So I'm actually not going to swatch everything here today because obviously I need to keep some intact for the people who actually bought them. But just so you know, this collection comes with 3 eyeshadow palettes as usual. We have 5 blushes, satin blushes, put an asterisk in that. 3 lip liners for my region. I think there are 5 lip liners globally. 9 lip shades. 3 loose powders, 2 eyeshadow keychains, 3 mirrors, 2 brushes, 2 perfumes. You get the picture. Very honestly, I didn't think I was gonna go all in on this because it's not a theme that is particularly like up my alley. I am a horse girl, or was. However, I didn't like the previous 2 unicorn sets. The all-in box always gets me. I thought the lineup of products was also really good. I love their powders, and also there's a lot of new products. We have lip liners, which they've never done before, and their first satin eyeshadows. And let me tell you, I love their satin formula. I do want to be upfront with the prices. As you know, I order from the official Taobao store because I am located in Hong Kong, and the global Flower Nose website does not even ship to me. I do think that this all-in box is cheaper than the Bunny Garden one was, but just so you know, I paid 1,591 yuan for it. Normally, I think it's meant to be 1,771, but I had another coupon added on top. So this is the lowest I've gotten any all-in compared to the Bunny Garden one as well as the Sweetie Bear one. Let's get right into it. Let's begin with the freebies I received as well as the goods that would have been seen as freebies in ordering, like the peripheral goods. As usual, Flower Nose is very, very generous with puffs. These are the standard puff that I think I have like a million of. I think I've shown these in like every other video I've done, so I'm not actually going to show you how they look like. They are just a standard puff. However, this triangle loose powder puff is new, so let me take a look at it. I believe they're including these because they have a loose powder in this collection. I'm not sure if it's standard, but you could put your finger up here. Sorry, I don't actually own any puffs like this, so to me it looks very standard. I'm going to try this out with the powder later. As usual, it came with 2 brushes. These are angled brushes, but of course they're just very standard brushes considering Flower Nose always releases things like this. I do like the unicorn portrait that you have here. However, it's basically 1-to-1 to the Bunny Garden one. I kind of wish they would release a few more interesting brushes. They actually do have some other brushes. I have like a contour brush from them. I have some eyeshadow brushes from them, but they are not ornate like these. I think the reason they are not releasing those ones, but rather releasing these blush brushes all the time is because these are bigger, so you can make them more ornate. The other brushes they have are very simple. Just to show you for reference, another brush I have from them. Very simple compared to the brushes, right? But it would be nice to see some variety in the brushes at the very least. Next up are the hair clips. They look like this, of course, unicorns with wings. These are very, very light. They have a crocodile clip, and specifically what I like about them is that satiny kind of shimmer to them. I really like this kind of finish. Actually, it's the reason I've been really into 3D printed stuff lately, so I'm kind of glad that they released things that look like this. I think I like the pink one more than the purple one. The all-in also came with perfume samples. Of course, I'll be reviewing the actual perfume later on in this video. I'll probably be giving these away. Mirrors. I think this is the first time in a while where I actually can't pick which one is my favorite. I think they're all super, super pretty. You're gonna see this with the eyeshadows later, but I really love the theme they have with like the skies, especially the dark version, like the night sky. It looks so nice. I think it provides some pretty good contrast. It is smaller than I thought it would be, just to compare with my hand. This one's going to my friend. Zooming in just to show you some details I like. This illustration of the alicorns like playing together. I love this white intricate, is it a filigree kind of thing? Normally they do this in rose gold, but I love it when they do it in white. I think it just looks so elegant. The top looks like it has that too, but it's actually more alicorns flying in the sky. No need to mention how pretty the main unicorn is. I love this little sun pop out and the crown. And on the handle you have another unicorn. The front looks like this, by the way. Of course, since I went all in, I also got the mini mirror, which I have been loving collecting. I know this is a really bad thing because you basically have to go all in to get mini mirrors, but I do love them. The mirror keychain this time is based off the purple colorway. As usual, it's basically 1-to-1 to the full-size mirror. I literally don't know how they pack so much detail in such a little form. Here are the keychains this time. I normally don't actually talk about the keychains like this 1-to-1. However, these are actually eyeshadow palettes, so I do want to talk about them a little bit. And also, there was a little bit of discussion around the design of these. I thought it was worth addressing because I think it is a valid point. According to Flower Notes themselves, these keychains are inspired by l'Ordre du Saint-Esprit, which is like the French Order of the Holy Spirit. I'll show a picture of their emblem up here. And honestly, to me, this was the first thing that was leaked. The association I had with this was a military award, which is kind of like exactly what it's meant to be. However, I think it would be wrong of me to not bring up the fact that a lot of people saw this and really honed in on the cross, which specifically to them looked a lot like the Iron Cross. And while personally I did not have this association, I think it might be because I'm like French, so I've seen this symbol a million times everywhere. It's a very, very common medieval symbol. I think it is also valid to have different associations to it, and an association to the Iron Cross is very, very unfortunate. To me, I clearly saw the French influence because you have the fleur de lis on the side. However, it's not something that really stands out, so I think it might have been worth for Flower Notes to spend a bit more time, you know, like cooking it up, because the association is unfortunately not great, and I do think that it could have been avoided if maybe the fleur de lis were more prominent or something like that. That being said, I do think it looks more like the typical medieval cross than anything else, specifically because it has like the points inwards and the lot. But I just wanted to discuss it a bit because I do think it's a valid point. And if you are thinking of carrying this around on your bag, it might be something that you want to be aware of. The second thing I want to talk about is the fact that these are actually eyeshadows. These are actually meant to be for your under eye. I think globally it's just marketed as an overall eyeshadow, but these are very similar to the very popular Can-Made Plum Puku like eye thing. I've never really bought the ones from Can-Make, so these are the first ones I've had. I'm not someone who really paints the Aegyo Salad, the Lion Silkworm very much, but I did find these to be very, very good quality, as you will see in my swatches later. I actually really adore how these look like. I think it's the only thing that really fits into the night theme quite strongly. And I like specifically that they put these ribbons, not like a bow like they usually do, just like the ribbons that looks even more like a kind of like a military award. I don't know if military awards are the vibe that we want to go for in this kind of day and age. However, I think they're definitely calling back, like harking back to times of like the medieval orders, obviously based on their inspiration. I have to point out these crowns. Isn't it giving a bit like juicy? I really like it. Here's a closer look at the keychains themselves. And inside you can find the eyeshadow palette. The pink one's clearly a warm neutral, while the purple one is more pinky purple neutral. I do like pointing these out when talking about the keychains. The keychain as a whole has good weight. This on its own is okay. It's not like the Bunny Garden Pocket Watch that felt very light. This one has a bit more weight to it completely, but this specifically, like this charm, is what's bringing most of the weight in. Another thing I'd like to say is that it seems like they've improved this mechanism because it literally does not close on its own, and it's magnetized, of course. But if you think back to some other charms they had, it had a tendency of like swinging open all the time very easily. I think this one might have a harder time doing that, but also it's definitely less loose, and I appreciate that. Here are some quick little swatches for you. Of course, the bottom one is the neutral pink and the top one is the purple one. I actually think these are much higher quality than I expected them to be. You basically have the same satiny finish as the eyeshadows, and then you have a really nice shimmer and a really nice glitter. For both of them, regardless, these two are the satiny colors. This is the shimmer and the top one is the glitter. A bit hard to get to if you're using your finger, but I guess that's what the applicator's for. Moving straight into the part that people are usually most excited for, it's the eyeshadows. I thought that the eyeshadow colors were really, really beautiful this time. I think all three palettes are great. I'm only keeping these two, but I was hesitating on this one for a very, very long time. It's only when I actually opened it and saw it and I was like, yeah, I think I'm gonna really enjoy these colors, that I went ahead and decided I'm gonna keep it. When I heard that these were like their first satin eyeshadows, I was really excited because if there's one thing you need to know about me is that I really like their satin blushes. I love that kind of formula and I actually use it on my eyes sometimes too, just because I love the sheen. Then you can already see the sheen on my eyes. I know there's glitter too, but even without the glitter, it was shiny like that. So when they announced that this was actually not matte but satiny, I was like, everything was okay. It didn't matter to me if the colors were repetitive or whatever. I was here for it. And if you would permit me to have a little rant, I don't mean to like suck Flower Nose toes or anything. I really don't mean it that way. I think we can be critical about things we like. However, I think that some people are a bit unfair when it comes to Flower Nose like color stories. I'm going to talk about it a bit more later when I give you some eyeshadow comparisons and things like that. And also at the end of the video. Let's go into the swatches first. I think these are not as intricate as the norm, but they're still super, super pretty. The pink one especially, I think looks so gorgeous. It's like a really good mix of pink and blue. However, it does frustrate me that this pink one is the neutral palette, while the white one is the pink palette. Not sure what was going on there. Regardless, let's go in order. This one's 01 Aurora Reverie. The color story is honestly very beautiful. Clearly warm, which is why I was hesitating on getting it or keeping it myself. But I think that this is one of their most elegant looking neutral warm palettes yet. I also want to point out this detailing on the inside that I absolutely love. There's a little heart imagery with the swords here, as well as this like starburst kind of thing. And the hearts down here have like the sword going through them too. I think it really fits the night theme. I think I would have liked to see that imagery a bit more on the outside as well. I also feel like the mirror space is not very big, considering this is the center, but it's like super narrow. I guess most people use the hand mirrors. I'm going to be very careful swatching this because this is going to my friend and she did let me swatch these, but I do also want to keep the embossing looking pretty nice for her. These are super nice. They are warm leaning on me. However, I actually think that they can work because they are more muted than some other neutrals I've seen from Flower Nose. And especially, I love this kind of like buttery, kind of creamy white, specifically this one right here. It looks really, really lovely. And I guess this is the first time I see their satin texture. I am thoroughly enjoying it as well. One of the reasons I was really tempted to get this palette was because the shimmers were really, really gorgeous. Look at that. These are so pretty, honestly. I'm like tempted to keep this palette too now. No, I gotta self-control. This is a silvery champagne color, and this one is a kind of brownish gold. I think I've done a good job not ruining the embossing too much. Based on the colors, I think I recommend this for people who are warm toned especially. However, just for people who might be interested in something maybe a bit toastier for the summer, if you are muted and cold tone like me, I actually think this works really well for muted tones. Thank you to my friend Poppy for letting me swatch that one. This white one is 02 Moon Sprite. It's actually the pinkish one. I also ran a group order for these, and just to let you know, this one was the one that I had to order like 3 times. To let y'all know, this one is very dark and the shimmers are so pretty in it. These are really gorgeous colors. I love how they don't look too bright. This one is actually a lot pinker in real life. I was surprised because in all the swatches it looked white, and I guess in my video it does look pretty much white and not noticeable, but it is quite palpably pink in real life. Let's look at the shimmers. Even if I really love the shimmers from the other one, I think I love this one even more. This one is like a true silver, and this one is very clearly pink, both in terms of the base and the sparkle. Yeah, I'd say that the way they're showing up in camera is very accurate to how they show up in real life. Overall, I think this is a good palette for people who like pink but who are probably aiming to do more of a smoky eye or something like that. I think it would look very, very good. Here's the very last palette. This one is Starfall Night, and it is the purple based palette. This one was the one I had my eyes on immediately. Like, I knew I had to get this one. It's so pretty, like the color story. And I know I do praise the global version for being more interesting in their color variety, which is something that the international audience has been asking for a very long time now. However, I'm so glad that the regional version I got is this purple one and not that colorful one. Wait, don't you guys think these colors are a lot more maybe like summery than you would expect? Especially these two. They are so sunset-y in a way, like a summer sunset. These ones obviously are quite dark, but like, I'm excited to use these two. Shimmers, this purple one looks like it's gonna be super exciting. Oh, it's not showing up too well because these both just kind of look silver. They are not as colorful as the previous one. You know that pink was really, really strong? The purple has like no base. I don't know if you can see. It's actually the shimmer that is strongly purple, but it's actually not picking up on here. Let me see if I can lower, maybe. Let's show it off a little bit more, the purple. Hope you can see that. This one's silver base with clear pink, and this one is just a purplish, very cool purple with some pink flecks in it. I'm especially excited for these two. I think I'll be using these two in the look that I'll do later. I think palette 02 is the coolest tone palette out of the three. If you're interested in some kind of mildly pink tone, but mostly smoky, ashy, kind of like eye looks, I think you might be interested in this one. And this to me is more neutral than it looks. I think that this is the palette I'll have like the most fun with, and probably that I'll be reaching for the most just because they're colors that I gravitate to. Since there was a lot of discussion between Flower Nose repeating their color stories a lot, I do want to agree in the sense that they always do some kind of neutrals, some kind of pinks, and then sometimes something fun. Recently it's been some purpley tones, but in the past it's been blues, been like that turquoise color as well for Sweetie Bear. It kind of really depends. However, I saw a comparison brought up many times, and I think it's just simply unfair, and it's that the Bunny Garden purple shell palette and then the unicorn, you know, like purple palette, this one, that they are too similar. Please take a look. Yes, they are slightly purple, but they are completely different. And I think the reason it annoys me a bit is because people keep calling this a purple palette. This is a cool neutral brown palette. There is only this purple that honestly comes off more as white. Like, it really is not the same. However, let me show you a more valid comparison, because I do think that this exact color story has been done before with something a lot older, and that is this Butterfly Cloud palette. I have some videos put up, but they are very, very similar, and I think this is a much more apt comparison. And even then, I still think it's more fair because Bunny Garden just came out 3 months ago. I think this one's been like 2 years. I think it's okay to have similar ones done again. But yeah, this is the correct comparison, not the Bunny Garden one, okay? The Bunny Garden one's completely different. All of these new palettes have this kind of mid-tone brown, and I'm just gonna put up a swatch of all three of them so you can see the differences between them, because they are not that different between all three palettes, especially 02 and 03 look very similar. And this last swatch I'm gonna show you is specifically a comparison of this gray to the Shells Jewel gray. If you have the Deep Sea Shells Jewel palette, there's a lot of gray tones in it, and personally I was wondering whether I needed this because I had a lot of gray tones in that one. However, it is different enough, but yeah, just to keep in mind for your reference, you can see. Next up, we have the satin blushes, and yes, this is in fact the 4th time in a row they do satin blushes. And you know what, as someone who loves their satin blushes, even I agree, 4 times in a row is a bit much. You could do other things. You could do matte blushes. Would I personally like that? Probably not as much, but you could do matte blushes, you could do liquid blushes, you could do cream blushes. There's lots of different things you can do. However, satin blushes 4 times in a row. Don't really know what the mindset is. I think it's just that they're really proud of this formula or something, which I get because I love this formula. If you hadn't heard me talk about this satin formula before, I first tried it during Shells Jewel and I was kind of like, ooh, not really sure about it, but I've come to love it a lot, specifically because it has that really beautiful sheen. I think you can see it on my cheek now, and it usually does pretty well on pores, and that is a concern that I generally have. In terms of the discussion of repeating colors, For me, the area I felt it the most strongly is actually these blushes. I do think 4 times in a row satin blushes, you're really pushing how similar some shades can be, if that makes sense. It's obviously going to draw more comparison because they're all exactly the same formula. Up to the past 3 collections, I thought there was enough differentiation between them. This is one where I was like, yeah, I think that this might be a bit too repetitive. That being said, there are 2 that I really like. Now, the positives I have to say about a 4th run of satin blushes is that the colors do have marginal differences, like very marginal differences, to the point where like if you own a certain color, you don't need this. But if you care about marginal differences, there are marginal differences, and they're not like a 1-to-1. One thing that did excite me though is that even though this is like a satin blush formula, they are not the same as the previous ones. These ones are extremely glossy, and I don't really know why. I think you can even see it in the pan already, and I saw it definitely when I was putting it on. It's a lot shinier, more satiny, I guess, than the previous 3 collections. So you might also want to keep that in mind. There is a slight difference in the formula in regards to the reflectiveness of it. The design of these are clearly really pretty, and I do love that they have another black colorway. However, I do think out of the entire collection, this is the design that I was the least wowed by. I'm not really sure why or how. I think the Bunny Garden ones were just too exciting for me. To compare to the other satin blushes, it's much thinner than the Shell's Jewel one, as well as the Bunny Garden one, but it's about the same as the Sweetie Bear one. These 2 I will not be swatching. This is 04 Laurel Crown, and this one is 05 Classic Reverie. These are clearly too warm for me, but I still want to show you how they look like. They basically have a very reddish brown and then a lighter yellow brown that's maybe a bit ashier on the other side. The 2 I will be swatching for you today are 02 Maiden Knight and 03 Wisteria Whisper. Similarly, they are also very glossy, very pretty. You have that really cute unicorn. Gorgeous. Sorry, I'm zooming in so you can see more of the detail, but take a look at this heart. Look at all the little lines, yet every single one of them shows up. Same with the intricate hearts here, the beams going down, the wings. I don't know how they do it, but they eat every single time. Wait, actually, I thought this was gonna be too warm, but it looks like a cool toned wait, pause. Doesn't it look like it matches? It's not too orange. Wait, I'm gonna be comparing these later, but oh my god, here's the one I knew was gonna suit me. Everyone, I don't think you can tell how glossy these are. These are super satiny, way more satiny than the previous satin blushes. And also the color is very gorgeous. I actually love how the peach one looks. I'm very pleasantly surprised. I've gone ahead and gathered up the ones that you think might look similar. So for this one, I have Bunny Garden 0222, which is kind of similar but much cooler. And I also have Sweetie Bear 02, which is clearly a bit more brown and muted. Here are how those compare. I think actually now that you see the Sweetie Bear one, I think you might see what I mean by this one being orangey or peachy, but clearly looking less warm or orange. Does that make sense? This bottom one is the Bunny Garden one. Honestly, I don't think it's that similar at all. However, I do think the one I have not shown you today, like the 01 of this, is very similar to this, which is why I've actually already sold it, so I'm not opening it. My next comparisons are for Wisteria Whisper. When I first saw the color reveal, I thought it looked so much like the Shell's Jewel one. This one is clearly pink to me, while this one is purple, and it's also battered, as you can see. I also have the previous Iris Garden to compare with. Here are these 3. So this is the Shell's Jewel one, which is the most similar, but clearly leaning a bit more purple. However, they do overlap a bit. And this is the Iris Garden one. I think clearly much darker, very different, even though it's still one of my favorite blushes to come from the Bunny Garden collection. In terms of lip products, we have like their glossy lipsticks. I actually have never tried this formula because the last time it was out, I think it was the Swan Ballet collection. And I know everyone likes Swan Ballet, but although I sound like a flower nose glazer, that's actually a collection I didn't like. And I wish I could explain why. I just think it looked a bit cheap. And specifically, I actually think these look a lot better than the Swan Ballet ones. I don't think we could talk about these, however, without talking about the lip liner as well. This is the first time they've done lip liners, and honestly, Knowing Flower knows lip products specifically lean very warm and very bright, I don't really have high hopes for the lip liners. I picked the pink one because it is the coolest looking one among their swatches, but as you will see soon, I was a bit disappointed by it. In terms of the texture for these, I actually really like them. I like them a lot more than the Sweetie Bear, you know, like those cannelé glossy pots. I feel like they feel more natural, they don't feel sticky, and they don't feel grainy like they did. I think they feel very comfortable on the lips, and they are also much easier to apply, even though I do think that packaging is a lot cuter. I actually have from the lipsticks UO1, UO3, and UO4 to try out. These are the ones that attracted me the most. But before we even do that, I thought it would be really interesting to give their lip liner a try since this is the first time they do one. This color is O2 Soft Strawberry. Usually their pencil type products are the least interesting in design, and I have to agree this time. However, I think it's still very pretty and cute, especially the little star here. So on one side you have the lip liner itself, and on the other you have a brush. What I was worried about was that this would be a bit too warm, but let's go ahead and check it out. By the way, it is fully retractable, just in case you're wondering. Oh yeah, it is very orange on me. Ooh, that is a little bit disappointing. I kind of expected it, but I had hopes. I had hopes. Very orange. I guess I'll try and make it work. The texture, however, I think feels very nice, very creamy. I do think the brush, you can blend it out pretty nicely, but I would be a bit light-handed with it because it does seem a bit like, you know, they released eyeliners in the Bunny Garden collection and the brush just seemed to like take away product instead of like blurring it out. It does feel a bit like that, but I guess this one a bit better. It's like, okay, it's okay. It blends out nicely, but be careful if you go heavily, it might remove the product. Just to compare, this is my favorite pink lip liner. If you want to see the difference in pink tones, this pink liner is clearly really, really orangey on me. I think it comes off more as brown in the camera, but it's really orange. Oh, I'm really disappointed. I'm gonna see if my friend maybe wants it. It might suit her more than me. I just sent a picture of this to my friend and she's like, that's orange. Oh, it looks so good. I'll put a picture of the picture I took because I think it's more accurate to how it looks like in real life, but oh my god. Shall we try these out? These are such an upgrade from the Swan Ballet ones. Oh my god. Gorgeous. Can you see that pearlescent effect? Gorgeous. I think the pink one is the prettiest, but purple's nice too, and I'm sure the white one's nice too, but I can't open those. Just like the lip liner, I know that these have potential of being really warm and bright on me. However, I thought the swatches looked muted enough, so these are the three I'm going to give a try. So let's start with UO1. This is a Wishing Star. It's described as a nude, milky coffee color that suits all skin tones, all lip colors, everyday bare face. Let's see that. Sorry, you can still see some pearlescence from the satin blushes. That is how shiny they were. I fear that is also too orange for me. Very glossy though, oh my god. Next is UO3 White Knight, which is described as a cold brew coffee color, and it's suited for all lip colors, darker skin tones, everyday bare face. This one specifically interested me because although it did look dark, it also looked more muted than all the other O1, O2, O3s. Yep, I think it's darker, but it's also a bit more muted. It's more yellow-brown than orange-brown. This UO4 Dream Paradise. By the way, I'm saying the Chinese names. I don't know if it's different. I'll just put them in English on the bottom if they are different. This one is described as a rosewater pink that's suitable for olive-toned skin with a lighter lip color, and it's also another daily use one. This is the one that I thought might suit me the most. Ooh, that one is also very bright. However, I think I do like it. It's definitely a proper cool undertone, just a very bright one. By the way, these are transfer proof once you let the film form. I don't have a cup to show you, but it is actually transfer proof if you are wondering about that. Color-wise, as usual, I think their range is not the best. Everything is very warm and very bright, but I think that's just a Chinese like preference for lip colors. They've always really liked that kind of bold lip. So I'm gonna show you how it looks like on me in a bit. Lip liner, I think you guys understood my disappointment with it already. We've been talking about repetitive colors a lot. I don't really care about that. I want Flower Nose to instead make their lip products cooler. That is a thing that I would like to see from them personally. The last thing we have are their loose powders, and y'all, I am always excited when Flower Nose releases a powder. I think it's the thing that I go through the most with them. So I actually am keeping the pink and the purple one. One thing I did want to talk about is that these are low-key an expansion of the cases they have. So the Bunny Garden cushion comes in a refillable case, right? These are powders, however, these cases are entirely interchangeable. If you want to mix them around, you're more than welcome to. If you didn't like the Bunny Garden one, but like the unicorn one, then you could have your cushion in the unicorn one. And you know what? I actually really like this. I do think it's much more sustainable, especially since a lot of people don't want to throw away their Flower Nose makeup even when they used it up. It is so pretty. It's not something people want to waste. Now, a lot of people have repurposed these on their own, as I have as well. But I think this is a really good start. And I'm kind of excited for what they're going to do next, because I just assumed that the Bunny Garden one was a one and done thing. A refillable cushion, that's already pretty good. But considering that they have powders now, I'm thinking, what else can they do? Just think of like a primer, maybe a sunscreen, maybe even instead of a satin blush, maybe a liquid blush like that. I think there's so many things that they can do with this concept while still having a set case released each time with a new type of product. But it's kind of pick and choose what you want to put inside, and you can reuse it a lot. I'm even thinking they might have different cushion finishes. Like, I bet they're gonna do a matte cushion at some point. They might do shade expansions, which would be great for deeper skin tones and different undertones as well. I don't know, I think very, very positively over this concept, not only because it's powder, but because like it shows that they are clearly thinking of this concept in a long run. Here are the three gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous cases. We have one white, one pink, and one purple. These are refillable cases, so you can actually put whichever powder you'd like. I love how they kind of look like a crown and a merry-go-round at the same time. And the top, I think, is one of the nicest designs. I know it's very similar to the blush, but for some reason, I just think the execution is better, and I'm not really sure why. Here is the very beautiful pink variant. And of course, the purple variant, which is my favorite. The powders I'm specifically showing you today are O2 Milky Pink and O3 Violet Crystal. So if you want, you could put the powder in the Bunny Garden case. Or if you didn't like the Bunny Garden case, you can go ahead and put the cushion in the unicorn one. The powders do come with these puffs, but I find that they look very mediocre. I don't know if I'll want to keep these, but yeah, they do come with some puffs. This one is O2 Milky Pink. I was thinking to myself, it looks really white. Girl, there's a cotton on top. Calm down. Whoa. The smoke does go flying when you press into it. I feel like there's no point showing you a tester here because it's not going to show up. However, it does feel very, very fine. I'm excited to use this as a powder lover. Here is the purple one. I think you can see the color a bit more here. It looks like a very pinkish purple, not a very cool tone purple. Oh, I'm really liking how that feels like. Excited to try these later. Last but not least, we have two perfumes in this collection. The first is Moonlight Garden and the second is Raspberry Nectar. Here are how the perfume bottles look like. I think a lot of people mentioned this, and this was my first thought as well. The toppers are so intricate and beautiful. However, the bottle themselves are very basic. I feel they usually do bottle shapes that are a bit more interesting. For example, this one right here, this Bunny Garden one had this like ribbed texture, or of course this heart-shaped one, you know? I think this could have benefited from some ribbed detailing or maybe some detailing at the top. I'm not really sure what the thought process was for some very basic bottle. Like if you remove this, it is very basic, right? Let's look at those toppers though. This is such a pretty concept, you know, with the wings wrapping around the top. Okay, I do have a little thing. It kind of gets me that the wings are not centered around the middle, but it's okay. I do like the asymmetry of the wings themselves. Something I did notice is that this wing is a little bit wobbly, and that goes for both of them. Can you see that? So I would be careful with these. This first one is Raspberry Nectar. It's described as a sweet berry gourmand. Sorry, I'm reading this off the website. The top notes are peach, red berries, apple, strawberry. Heart notes, jasmine, rose cream. And base notes, musk and vanilla. That sounds good to me. Maybe not the jasmine, maybe not the rose, But the rest, if it's like a berry jam kind of thing, I would love it. The opening is super sweet, berryish. It's exactly what it's called. It smells very, very good. I think it's a bit simple in the sense like you could probably find a shampoo that smells like this, but that doesn't change the fact that it does smell very good. Really enjoy how it is when you just spray it. However, I did try it yesterday and I felt that it did turn a bit sharp on my skin. I do think that's the jasmine and the rose coming out. And also, I didn't smell the cream or the vanilla much, so it didn't feel very much like a gourmand. I would say this is strictly a fruity perfume. If you're looking for a creamy, fruity gourmand, I fear this is not the one you're looking for. However, if you want just a nice fruity scent, like a berryish scent, then you might enjoy this. The second perfume, the purple one, is Moonlight Garden. And this one is described as a delicate floral. It has top notes, orange blossom, jasmine, lily of the valley, pink pepper, heart notes, clove, rosemary, tuberose, and then base notes, freesia, and musk. And honestly, when I read those notes, I wasn't expecting to enjoy this. If I were buying individually and not an all-in, I would have definitely bought this berry one, but I would have probably skipped on this one. I actually really do enjoy it. I'm not really sure what it is because I'm not exactly that great at detecting the different types of flowers. My friend said it was the jasmine. To me, I think it's the orange blossom that smells really good. There's definitely some kind of subtle creamy sense to it, like creamier than the berry one that actually has a cream scent, but creamy in the sense of like it's more like a soft floral scent. I think that out of the two, this one actually smells more complex, if that makes sense. I don't know if it smells better. I would actually put them on equal footing. Neither of them wow me like some other perfumes from Flower Nose have that I really enjoy. Yo, I almost finished a Sweetie Bear one. Is that not crazy? Like finishing a Flower Nose perfume? But I am pleasantly surprised by this one. I also felt that with time, this one didn't end up very sharp on me. I think you saw I made a face when I said clove. I don't really like cloves. I didn't really smell that as it developed. Neither did I smell the rosemary, which I do like, so I'm not really sure about those. I would say both of these are very feminine scents. Flower Nose do have some unisex scents sometimes, but these ones are clearly very feminine. I think people will like this one a bit more, just because this berry scent can feel very one note, and I think after the top note dissipates, it feels very sharp, and if some people don't like that kind of sharpness, then they might not enjoy it. This one stays a bit gentle and soft all the way through. I already done my base. Unfortunately, I am recovering from like a super crazy shit breakout, so please forgive any patchiness around my chin. It just be like that sometimes. I've done basically base and eyebrows. I was thinking of going in with these two to do maybe like a peachy purple look. We'll see how that works, because I'm not exactly the best at applying makeup. I have noticed that this does flake quite a bit. Every time I've reopened it, I did my hand swatches earlier, I see some of the darker powders around here, and I guess it means that the darker shade is flaking around, so maybe it's just me. Really liking this peachy color. I'm gonna go in with the purple on the outer side to see if I can do a bit of a gradient. Ooh, I love the shimmer on it. I love their satin formula. I'm just gonna grab this one to use on my inner corners. Let me try this. I'm not really sure if this is gonna work well for the egg yolk style for me, because I don't really, like, I'm not really good at painting it. I feel like my eye shape's a bit hard to do that, but I'll give it a try, and I'll also give it a try with this tiny applicator. It does actually apply more color than I thought. Let me do my liner off camera. I am humbly wondering what shimmer to use. Can you see how shimmery it is, even without any glitter? I'm gonna go for this one and then the silver one. Y'all, I did my lashes too. Let's go ahead and do the blush. I feel like the camera doesn't really show how pretty the color is. Is it better? Maybe I need some lenses. What am I talking about? I'm actually gonna go in with the peachier color first because I'm kind of really excited for it. I'm just using the new brush. Keep in mind that I'm gonna over apply so it actually shows up on my camera. I think I prefer the non-angled brushes, by the way. Now I'm gonna use this purplish pink one to maybe do a bit of a point color. Yo, I really don't like these angled brushes. I'm sweeping it under the eye, especially to make it like connect with the eye makeup. And also on the nose. Definitely a lot shinier than the previous satin blushes. The satin blushes always had this kind of sheen, but this one's really glossy. I don't think you need highlighter if you use one of these blushes. I'm gonna try lip liner. If it flops, it flops, and I'll just use like another color. Maybe it'll look better on the lips. Can you see how orange that is? Okay, change of plans. I don't really want to look like I just had spaghetti bolognese, so I am actually going to give this to a friend who suits it more. I'm gonna maybe like slice off the part that I applied on my lips, and I'm gonna use instead my usual lip liner. Apologies, it just didn't work for me. Specifically for today, I'm going to use my usual pink 100% one in strawberry milk, and then I'm going to use for this look U04, which is the pinkier one. I do like this one because it kind of mutes out the color of my lips too, gets rid of the purple color. I'm gonna try the pink setting powder on one side and purple on the other. I don't actually think it's gonna make that much of a difference, so as promised, I'm also gonna try the powder puff. Guess we could try around this area. Feels super silky. I think there's like a mild brightening effect, but I'm not sure. The other side, let's do purple using this puff. I do think it's a bit unfortunate that you can't just like leave this in here, like the puff in here. Like there's only one small one that fits, if that makes sense. I feel like it would have been nice if this one was a bit tapered at a tip, just like the one for the cushion. It does fluff up a lot, by the way. Quite nice, quite nice. Here's how it looks like. Here's how the finished look looks like. I'm gonna use these. A bit frustrating, by the way, that you can't use it on this side because it would be upside down. I guess you would have to do it this way, but it doesn't, like, usually you put clips up that way, you know what I mean? It's okay. Alright, I think we've reached the end of this video. I do have a lot to say, actually, but let's talk about recommendations and overall final thoughts first. If I had to recommend anything from this collection, I think it would have to be first the powders, because I feel like they have a very fine quality that feels very nice and not cakey on the face, even when applied with a powder puff. I bet if you apply with a brush, it would feel even better. I think if you're in the market for a new powder, you can consider it. Hi, just editing me, jumping in. I filmed this video on Friday and it is now Sunday. And I have some more thoughts that I want to add in. First is that I didn't talk about how the setting powder wears in a long run. Yesterday I had a full day of work, so I actually used the setting powder. I used it at around, let's say 8 AM and I only took it off at around 10 PM. That's more than 12 hours. By the end of the day, I was still pretty matte around here. However, my nose, which is the oiliest part of me, was oily. Keep in mind, I did not touch up my makeup at all during the day. I'm sure if I had touched up maybe in the middle of the day, it would have been better. The thing I do want to point out is that I do walk to work, and Hong Kong is extremely humid, extremely hot right now. So when I had the powder on, I walked all the way to work and I was sweating. I was wet all over here, basically. And that sounds really gross, but yeah, after I had patted away that sweat and cooled down a bit, my skin was still powdery, soft, and dry. I personally also recommend the eyeshadow palettes. I think all three color stories are really, really beautiful, and I think that the satin finish, if it's something that you enjoyed in a blush, you will definitely enjoy this one. The product that I personally found the most disappointing, I think it's pretty obvious, it's the lip liner. I do think that the feeling of them was nice. However, I just think that having a pink that looks that orange is crazy work. In 2026, no less. So that is definitely something I would like them to improve on. I usually always recommend the satin blushes. The only reason I'm not recommending them specifically this time is because if you already have satin blushes from the previous 3 collections, then I think you could probably skip on this one. I am happy to have little variations in colors, but that doesn't mean you need to own them. Jumping in again to talk a bit more about the blushes. Among the 5 shades, we have 3 really light tones and then 2 darker tones. However, even then they're not that dark. But specifically for the 3 lighter tones, I have 02 and 03, right? I personally really like the colors, but I am quite pale. I really don't think that they're gonna show up on even like a tan skin tone, not even like a proper deep skin tone. So I obviously can't really try it out, but I would be wary of that if you want to buy these. I think, for example, the Bunny Garden ones and Sweetie Bear ones might be better. I think that these are very similar to the Shells Jewel one in that regard. I feel like the purple Shells Jewel one that I own is also very light. Those are my thoughts on the products. The thing I want to talk about a bit more, which I mentioned earlier in my video, is the fact that Flower Nose always gets a lot of criticism over repeating colors or being boring and things like that. And I actually do think this is a bit unfair because I feel like the standards are much higher for them than other brands. Flower Nose is a drugstore product. It's not like a luxury product or anything. It is drugstore. There's 2 things I want to say on this. First is that I think everyone would like to see a bit more like out there colors from Flower Nose. However, I think it's also good to temper your expectations. I think Flower Nose are definitely more than capable in doing some darker colorways. Like we did have like a black shell blush, the Swan Ballet eyeshadow that a lot of people talk about is there and things like that. However, ultimately they are someone who just do basics. So I think that it's a bit unfair to hold this expectation for them because I said it in the comments of my previous videos, I would love like a goth approach to Flower Nose. However, I think it's unreasonable to be disappointed that they don't do that because when have they ever really done a whole collection like that? Do you see what I mean? I understand that people want the intricacy, the kind of like very aesthetic, ornate look with maybe a darker kind of color story, but it's just like, I think that their brand identity is so strongly over the very light pinkish kind of thing that usually if they do anything darker, it's kind of just like one variation and that's it. Instead, what I would like to do is recommend some other C Beauty brands that you guys can take a look at if that's what you want, because there are many C Beauty brands that actually do very colorful out kind of colorways. The first one I would like to recommend is Cheery Up. Cheery Up has palettes with lots of different very colorful color stories. They're very out there. I think there's always going to be a palette that you might enjoy, and they also have very nice shimmers, and they are also very pigmented. The second one I want to recommend for people who like the kind of more goth aesthetic is one that comes up all the time. It's Girl Cult. Girl Cults specifically do darker colors, and they have also an interesting look to them. They're not up my alley really, but I think you guys can check them out too. If you're looking for other very colorful, kind of punchy colors, Kaleidos is a really cool. I heard that their highlighters are really interesting. Also, I've been looking over to them for some metallic, really cool color. I don't know. They're very cool, very punchy, very colorful. You could check them out too. Not as affordable, there's also Sugar Rock, which I think have a very ornate and out there aesthetic as well. And the colors are also gorgeous, very colorful and curated. You might want to check them out, although I know that they are not as affordable as Flower Nose. And there are plenty more out there if you look. I hope this doesn't come across as me like sucking Flower Nose stick or anything like that. I just think that people need to be a bit more normal about it. Some people are very critical. In my past videos, I feel like I get some comments that are a bit aggressive, considering that like I just want to recommend products I like. I don't mind people commenting some nuanced discussion on the colors and the variety or even the quality of the products. But I just think that if you're just here to criticize the fact that some people are still buying flower nose, I think it's better you do that elsewhere. Is that all I had to say? I think that's all I had to say. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. I'm sorry if this came off as a bit disjointed. It's been a while since I've made videos. I'm trying to get back into it. If you are interested in looking at more videos from me, I will put up a video up here, probably another flower nose one, since most people who watch this video probably just want to see flower nose stuff. If you want to check out my channel in general, I'll have it up here, and I think I'll see you in the next one. Bye.